Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome back to another year with Eternal Midnight. And this year, we decided to go back to Gotham City and revisit our Dark Knight and all his movies released in theaters. We're not going to do all the Batman movies because that's just way too much. It's like way more than the theatrical releases. And if we do that, we're probably going to end up using the entire year. So buckle in, strap on your utility belt, and let's go. So we're gonna start off with Batman '89 or Batman just Batman. so Chad, what are your first thoughts about Batman '89?
This movie ages so well. Like, yes, I basically marathoned all four of the two Burton movies and the two Schumacher movies. And it's like Forever and Batman and Robin still feel like products of their time. Whereas this and Returns like still feel like they hold up to me. And so just sticking with this one, it's just, I mean, this is like, it's, and I don't mean this as a knock against the Nolan trilogy, but it's like, dude, this is Gotham City. This is what Gotham City is and should feel like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's Gotham. It's dirty. It's scary. You know what I mean?
It's filled with criminals. It's corruption. There's just corruption.
Yep.
Yeah, it perfectly inhabits what like it does feel like almost like a comic book come to life.
So let's start off with the best points about Batman '89: the set design and the context. Batman '89 feels like Gotham City. Like just from where you said it, like it doesn't feel like it's just Chicago with like a filter. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you, Dark Knight Rises. No, but Gotham in Batman '89 is so nice. It feels scary. There are gargoyles everywhere. It feels like it's old, like it's seen some shit. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it's new at all. You know, because like that's what Gotham City is. It's very dark. It's very gothic. It's very, it feels like Gotham. So let's talk about the main man himself. Michael Keaton, he was technically the first one to play Batman as he was. I mean, like, okay, if we're gonna cut Adam West second, but like, Batman in the comics took a dark turn around like the late 70s or early 80s, right? So Michael Keaton was the first one to play Batman as he is known now. So Chad, what do you think of Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne?
I'm torn because so obviously when it comes to like the bat suit, in all honesty, his suit almost out of the live action Batmans we've seen, not counting the 60s show, let's just count like 89 going forward. His suit is probably the least practical when it comes to fighting. He can't turn his head.
Right.
It's like all just like one big thing. But there's just something about that suit that is just so iconic and just incredible looking that it's just like I love seeing it on screen.
No, because it fits the world. It fits Gotham. Like it's dark and dreary, and here comes Batman with his he goes Batman with his like dark and costume, and it's like I'm Batman. And honestly, I'll be real with you. I really like Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne and as Batman. He does such a good job, honestly.
And honestly, I like him. I liked him better in Returns as Bruce and as Batman, but that doesn't take away from enjoying him in this one.
Yeah, no, it's just more of like, in my opinion, I feel like he does it so well both here and in Returns because like he absolutely plays the role of Bruce Wayne perfectly. He's a playboy. He can really be like even in Returns, like he was flirting with Selina Kyle, but like when he gets down to it, when he becomes Batman, he can really like bring up the fear factor, you know, because Batman's about fear, and I think he does that so well here. Especially that first scene where he extends his arms and the wings pop out. Like, oh my god, that's so cool. I remember seeing it and I was like, wow, that is awesome to see.
It's just it was so cool when it's like you see the two criminals sitting there talking to each other and you just see him coming down in the background. It's like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, I think really I think Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman, from what I recall, are the only two Batman that used stealth as a way to attack criminals, as a way to fear criminals. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No. Bale did in Batman Begins.
Okay, right. Yeah, he did in Batman Begins, but not in any other movie.
In Begins, yeah. That the scene down by the docks.
Yeah, in the other two movies, he just like straight up just like blew people away with his bat bomb or his bat car. But yeah, you know, but like like okay. The reason why I think stealth is a great factor because I played Arkham City, still the best superhero game. I'm sorry, Spider-Man PS4, but Arkham City is still the best superhero PS game. And
you know, as much as I love Spider-Man PS4, and I just got Miles for PS4, and I love that as well as far as I've gotten. Yeah, sorry, Asylum and City. I genuinely still have more fun with those. And I've beaten Spider-Man PS4 like 3 times, and I've beaten Asylum and City like 3 times each too. So it's like I love them all, but yeah, it's like there's like you said, I agree. It's like the Asylum games are so damn good.
Yeah, no, because it's like you know one of my favorite set pieces of like a city is where you're in this room and you have to use stealth to like you have to use stealth to pick off the bad guys. So I would always fuck with them, you know. I'd always like throw the batarang up the fire extinguisher so that it blows up in their face. I'm like, what is that? And I'd always like seeing the guy go through like the fire extinguisher and then take him out while, you know, in the smoke so that like the other criminals won't see. Right. I found it so fun because I feel like, yeah, I'm the Batman. I'm taking out them with like precision and you know and fear, because Batman is fear. You know, that's what makes Batman Batman. He's a demon. He makes people fear him. Fear is an important factor, which, you know, and I'll be honest with you, the Dark Knight trilogy did not get after the Dark Knight.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think one of the scenes I think that really exemplified the fear Batman instills in people is there was 2 really standout scenes, and I'll just say it from both movies. The one was in this one at the very beginning with the 2 criminals, you know, I'm Batman. Yeah. And then the other one was in Returns when the like Miss Christmas chick fell and died, and then all the bats suddenly flew out of the Christmas tree, and that's just like right when Batman happened to be like flying by it, and everyone was just like screaming and running, and that's when like the city turned on him. Like I thought those were both great scenes. Exemplifying, like you just said, the fear that Batman does to people.
I'll add one more. Begins. The first appearance. You know, like, where are you? Here. And he just grabbed him. That was awesome. That was awesome in my opinion. Because Batman that's the whole point of Batman. He dresses up scary to make criminals fear. To make criminals even fear going out, you know what I mean? So it's like
I think he said it outright in Mask of the Phantasm when it was like they were showing the flashbacks where he just kind of like wore a ski mask and he got back and Alfred's like, oh, are you going to keep doing this? And Bruce was like, I need a different outfit. I need to instill fear in these people.
Right, exactly. Yeah, fear has always been Batman's best weapon against them.
But even with that fear, he's still exemplified as a human being in this. Like when Jack Napier gets like, he fires at Batman, he deflects it, and he's about to topple over into the acid. Batman still reaches down and is trying to pull him back up. It still shows this Batman is a very human who's like, you know, I'm not going to just let you die. You got shot in the face, but I'm not going to like I'm not going to let you die. I mean, we can jump into that character in a minute, but it's like that. I still loved that, like you said, the fear, but also like the human nature that Batman has was still exemplified very well in that scene.
I agree. In fact, yeah, because like Batman is a fearful character. He instills fear, but he's not without his morals. Like he will want to save people if he can. So now, what happens when you put a man who instills fear against a guy so insane he doesn't fear anything? So yeah, let's talk about Jack Nicholson's Joker. What do you think of Jack Nicholson's Joker, Kat?
Jack Nicholson's Joker is awesome.
I love
absolutely
Jack Nicholson's Joker.
I loved it. So I knew I loved it like before this rewatch, but on this rewatch, I was like, yes. Just keep reminding me why I love his version of Joker. To me, he gets the perfect live action balance down. He has the comedy. But he's also terrifying. Like, his plan in this movie is horrific if you think about it.
Oh yeah.
He's poisoned who knows how many items that are in people's households. People are terrified to do anything because they don't know what's going to possibly kill them.
Yeah, exactly. Like that for me, one of the best scenes was that commercial where like he's in a beach and then like he has those two smiling chicks like, we love the Joker. Was it? And he's just like basically like explaining his plan, like, yeah, all these household items are gonna kill you.
And just that permanent smile stuck on his face is horrifying.
Yeah, and even the fucking even the parade scene, where he throws out money like he's a fucking millionaire.
Well, look at that scene. He's so evil. He knows exactly how to kill people off who are in fear of him. He tells them, show up and you can have free money. Like, Joker here was very smart. And it's like, we'll get to this down the road, and I'm not saying anything against Heath Ledger, but it's like, I think after Dark Knight came out and everyone was going crazy for it, which they should have. It was a great performance. It's like, I feel like for a couple of years almost after Dark Knight, a lot of people forgot how dark this version of Joker was also.
Yeah. When there's new things coming out, people forget the old things and all that.
Yeah, I almost feel like a lot of people are like, oh, he wasn't even like that scary or evil. I'm like, are you thinking of the 66 Joker, or are you thinking, or are you talking about Jack Nicholson? Because if you're talking about Jack Nicholson, you're wrong. I mean, how many people did he kill in cold blood in this movie?
A lot, like at least 60.
He murdered countless people. Yeah. A couple of them he outright killed himself. Like, this Joker was not afraid to get his hands dirty in the slightest either.
Yeah, he wasn't. He really was like a crazy dude. And yeah, I get what they're saying. Like, it gets ruined when Joker falls in love for Vicky Vale. I'm like, not really, no.
No, that was great.
Yeah, that was great. Because like he had this obsession with her, and like he's like the very prime example of a toxic boyfriend. Like, I want this girl. I will never let her go, no matter what.
The best scene with him and Vicky Vale was when Batman was like fighting his way up the clock tower and he was like dancing with her, and he like pulls out a gun and aims it at his head, and he's like, just end it all. And he pulls it and the little like bang thing comes out, and Vicky Vale just screams and he just busts out laughing. I'm like, damn, dude, she probably thought she was about to be like covered in his brains or something.
No, but like also one of my favorites is the where Vicky Vale's at this fine dining place and Joker enters and he just like paints all the paintings with like his signature like face. It's like, yeah, dude, that is something Joker would do. And he plays like music like, yeah, dude, I'm sure Jack Nicholson at one point took cocaine and just went on set and did that. For real. I'm really serious about that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, because like look at look at what he did, dude. I mean, like, dude, Joker was insane in this movie. Now, what do you think? Now, what do you think about the change they made? Did you like it that Joker was responsible for killing the parents of Bruce Wayne?
I had no problem with it. I don't honestly. I don't think anybody should have a problem with it. We've said it probably a million times in the past, and we'll say it again. This was an adaptation, and this was a change that was added. That who cares? It doesn't take away from the story. It was not an unnecessary change. I liked it because it made a connection between the hero and the villain. And again, this came out in '89. This was kind of done before that became like cliche. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like I don't have a problem with it. Do you?
No. Also, I have no problems. I have no problems with it. I really feel like one, it is a change that makes sense because now Bruce Wayne has a grudge against Joker. But at the very end of the movie, which exemplifies, yes, this guy is Batman. The guy who murdered his parents, he still tried to save.
No, he didn't. Well, at the beginning he did.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, he didn't.
I mean, like Joker was hanging by like Batman's like feet, right?
Batman said, "I'm going to kill you," and then punched him off the building.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh yeah, don't forget, everyone. Affleck is the only Batman that's a murderer. Don't forget that. No, sorry.
Right, that's so sad. Oh God, you're so right. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, Batman straight up.
He straight up said, "I'm going to kill you," and then punched him off the building, and they thought he was dead. And he only survived because he grabbed the end of it.
Yep, now I remember that. Yep, that makes sense now. Yep.
Which, you know what? Again, who cares? It's like we've said, there's a difference between okay, I guess if it comes to being a murderer, this is far more of being a quote-unquote murderer than Affleck ever was. Getting guys killed in collateral damage is not the same as looking at them saying, "I'm going to kill you,"
and punching
and trying to kill them.
Yeah.
But who cares? You know what? Because, again, adaptation, and I've never understood the whole vehement, Batman doesn't kill, scream. It's like, okay, the whole point of Batman doesn't kill is like, he's not like the Punisher. He doesn't put a gun to your head and pull the trigger and blow your head off.
Yeah, exactly.
And if that's such a problem, then I'd like to see more people complain about it, please. Go ahead. Start complaining about it online and destroy the legacy of this film. Because I'm tired of hearing that Affleck's a murderer.
And let's talk about, and of course, every Batman, like every James Bond, has the car. What do you think of the Batmobile in this one, Chad?
I love the Batmobile that Tim Burton's movies had. It just looks so sick.
It looks like a plane without wings, you know what I mean? Like there's like a big jet engine in the middle.
I love that. It's like, and obviously it's because it came out around the same time. Like I always like think of like, you're going to laugh, and I bet you're going to think of it now. Every time I see where like, the big flame shoots out of, I always think of Top Gun for some reason.
Yeah, you're right. Because yeah, it's modeled after an F-16 jet. The F-16 at the time had that big like jet turbine at the very end, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that makes sense.
And just 80s, but it's like, no, I just love it. And it just fits in so well with this design and aesthetic of everything they were going for.
Yeah, especially in Batman Returns where like, it's Christmas time and everything's snowing. It's cold. It's scary. It's freezing. And you see this like car with like this giant flame shooting out and like running into the night. It's like, wow, that is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real. So, okay. So anything else you want to tackle about Batman '89? Okay, how about Alfred? Did you like Alfred in the?
I was just gonna say Alfred. I was like, let's not forget him. Michael Goff, I believe it's pronounced.
Yeah,
he is great. I love this. Here's where I'm gonna get some hate right at the beginning of the year too. I love this version of Alfred far more than the Dark Knight trilogy's Alfred.
Ooh, wow, hot take. Why so?
Michael Goff doesn't always have a giant speech planned out for everything that this version that Michael Keaton does and says. And I like this version of Alfred because it's like he's got balls when it comes to Batman. He's not afraid to just tell him straight up, like, you're dumb for making this decision. You're wrong. He's a smart ass, but it's like this guy, in my opinion, got his timing down when it came to the comedy of being Alfred, I thought. Because it's like he always knew what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and he nailed it, in my opinion. I thought he was great as Alfred. What was your thoughts on him?
My version of Alfred, Batman and Spider-Man, like, okay, the reason I'm bringing up Spider-Man is because at this point in time, in the 2021s, there are so many interpretations of Batman and Spider-Man and Superman. Like, you can have your own different interpretations of the guy. I always thought, like, because like, at this point, Batman's like James Bond. You know what I mean? Like, he has his villains. He has his girls, he has his cars, he has his Alfreds, all that. I always felt like the best Alfreds are the Alfreds that talk shit, with the Batman, like give him a spanking if he needs it to be. That sounds so wrong, but
that's why the best Alfred so far, and based on what you just said, I think we both agree
Jeremy Irons.
Is Jeremy Irons, absolutely. Jeremy Irons or Sean Pertwee from Gotham.
I liked him in Gotham, but I just felt like, Jeremy Irons was that kind of age dude, like, yeah, dude, get your shit together. Because, like, I care about you, but I'm not going to be, like, your fucking butler, like,
I'm not going to be your dad being like, don't do this. I'm just going to stand by and be like, you fool. Yeah. But we'll get to that. But, no, I like this Alfred. Let me see. I really liked the flashback scene of how his parents got killed.
Yeah,
and I did. Cool. Oh, that's another thing. Remember how the movie started? You know what? I genuinely think the first time I saw this, that genuinely subverted my expectations. Remember how it was like the mom, dad, and the kid?
Right.
At the beginning of the movie? I thought that was Bruce. I was like, oh, they're gonna start out with the origin story, and then they didn't. I'm like, nice.
Nice, yeah, I know, right? That was cool. So, and of course, before we close it off, like I said, Batman's practically James Bond at this point. Let's talk about Batman's babes. What do you think of Vicky Vale, the love interest for Batman?
You know what she really reminded me of? She felt like a Lois Lane.
Yeah. I get
a reporter who was not a damsel in distress, who was able to take care of herself and did what she could. Like Vicky Vale, yeah, she screamed a lot, but you know what? She also she took care of herself. She was not just some weak woman who did nothing. She did a great job, I thought.
Yeah, and would you say that she's one of your favorite iterations of Batman's love interest, or just it was okay?
Oh God. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, she's okay. There's others that are far better, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I just feel like
I mean, if you loved her, have at it.
No.
You don't have to agree with me.
No, for me, like she was just also okay. I was wondering if you maybe had a nice.
Okay, yeah, no. I mean, I genuinely think Selena was far light years better.
Okay, so you want to get to that? You want to get to that? Like, are you?
Okay, biggest regret I think of this movie is the fact that Billy D. Williams never got to become Two-Face.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's bullshit. Right. He would have been an amazing Two-Face too.
Yeah, that's right. Harvey Dent was shown. Right. Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon was just fat and bumbling.
Yeah. This is probably my least favorite iteration of Commissioner Gordon.
He's probably, I'd say, out of the four, Gordon's he's probably the weakest, and I'm even saying he's weaker than Jeffrey Wright, and we haven't even seen the Batman yet because it's Jeffrey Wright. He's going to be awesome.
Right, exactly.
But you know what? I mean, Pat Hingle was fine. He wasn't terrible, but it's like they didn't grasp the fact that they wanted Gordon to be a central character yet. So it is what it is.
Like it's a time where like Batman had to be like the hero, right? Yeah, all the focus should be on him. So like any other male character is either old and like giving advice like Alfred, or fat and like comedic like Commissioner Gordon. Like, yeah, I'm the commissioner, you know. I'll do my best to save the city. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd be like, yeah, Batman. You know, help police. Like, yeah. I mean, like, this is a time where like, and I'll still stand by it. Gary Oldman was probably my favorite Gordon in the movies because Gotham doesn't count because he was basically the main character there. So,
I still think my favorite line that Gordon ever gives in these first 4 movies is. In Batman and Robin, he like appears on the screen to Batman, and he's like, "Batman, a new villain has appeared in Gotham." I'm like, "Did you steal that?" I'm like, "Did you take that from a video game script?" Nobody talks that way. A new villain has appeared.
Batman, a new villain has appeared in Gotham. He's calling himself Mr. Freeze. He's turning the police into blocks of ice. Like, dude,
please help us. And I'm like, oh no.
No one talks like that.
And we'll get there next week. But no, sticking with the dark and serious movies that involves a man's false teeth falling out as a joke. No, Batman 89 overall it's absolutely amazing. I mean, everyone gushes over, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy, which again, they should for the most part. But I think a lot of people, same with, like I said about Nicholson as the Joker after seeing Heath Ledger, I feel like a lot of people really started sleeping on 89 and Returns. And it's like, you shouldn't. Both of these are still amazing films.
Right, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about Batman Returns. Now, Chad, you had an interesting opinion you told me a few weeks back, off air, about Batman Returns. What do you think of Batman Returns, Chad?
I like it better than Batman 89.
Elaborate, please, because I'm sure a lot of our listeners were like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Well, I think for this year, you know, being 2022, I think we should try and take a more critical approach to our reviews here, Santino. So basically, when I say that, I'm strictly going off of the Rotten Tomatoes scores. No, I'm kidding. I can't keep this up. No, I just do find it weird. I do like Returns better than 89. But listen to this.
Definition of weird as hell.
Hold up, before we go there real quick, just so everyone knows this, because I told Ken this and he was stunned. So on Rotten Tomatoes, Batman 89, 71% from critics, 84% from audience. Batman Returns, 80% from critics, 73% from audience.
Wow.
Returns is 9% higher on Rotten Tomatoes than the 89 is, which is weird because it feels like 89 is the more beloved movie. And I'm going to quote Ken. Batman 89 is shit. How did Ken say it? Do you remember?
No.
He said 89 is a comic book movie first and a Tim Burton movie second.
Oh,
Returns is a Tim Burton movie first and a comic book movie second. And while I do agree with him, I don't view that as
a negative.
I don't view it as a negative in the slightest because, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's hard to tell because it's like you were asking about Vicky Vale when it comes to the love interest. I thought Michelle Pfeiffer as Selena Kyle Catwoman was far more of a standout female character of this movie than almost anybody else on my most recent rewatch.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Because Selena Kyle in Selena Kyle in Batman Returns makes this movie.
Absolutely. If this movie was just Penguin and Batman, I think it would have been boring as hell because we'll get to Penguin later. He was fine. I get that he was like the main villain, but I really was not that impressed with him
Okay, so
compared to Catwoman.
let's talk. Since we're already talking about her, let's talk about her. What?
What have you got?
No, let's talk about her first. What?
Yeah, what have you got?
I think Selena Kyle in this movie has not been top. It's the same with Gwen Stacy in the Spider-Man movies. Best romantic interest of Spider-Man is Gwen Stacy. In the same with Returns. Best romantic interest of Batman so far in the live action is Selena Kyle. As the Michelle Pfeiffer one, not the Dark Knight Rises one.
Oh no, that was like, I mean, Anne Hathaway did a better job than I thought she was going to do, but she was still no Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, exactly. But exactly. So in my opinion, this is basically Batman's Gwen Stacy. It hasn't been topped at all so far. I don't think it ever will be because like Selena Kyle in this film was really well written.
They did an amazing job giving her they made her a perfect tragic character. A very antisocial woman already. She's very scared of being in social situations. She's very timid. She's forgetful. You know, she like the fact that she had to leave herself a voicemail reminding herself to go back to the office shows that she's just doesn't got it all there. She goes back, she's just doing her job, she stumbles on something she shouldn't have and she gets killed.
Yeah,
she gets brought back, she just loses her shit and goes on a crime spree, and she and Bruce start to fight as Batman and Catwoman. They find out who each other are, and she's conflicted because she cares about Bruce, but she's also like hell-bent on her revenge quest, and it gets to the point where Bruce reveals himself to try and help her, and even then that's when he realizes she's too far gone on her revenge quest, trying to not let her like, I don't wind up like this. It was so I think
so well done.
For the time, it was very well done. I think nowadays they would almost take that concept and make it the entire movie, which they did a few years later. But with this, I thought it was awesome. I mean, she was such a standout character to me. And it's like, that's almost what makes this movie is it's like, again, I loved 89, but Selena Kyle herself being an anti-hero, jumping between both sides and being a tragic anti-hero is what helps make this movie so good in my eyes.
I agree. I completely agree because it's basically like, you know, back then superhero movies, you know, they were all, and I'm not gonna sound like, you know, some, you know, woke guy, and like they were all like testosterone, like they were all males. Like the girls were meant to be like, oh, a love interest, you know, like
eye candy.
Yeah, eye candy, exactly. Like a James Bond film, you know, like at the time, you know, James Bond films, like the girls there were only there to service James Bond. They were all in bikinis. They were only there to have sex and then point James Bond. Okay, the villain's right over there. Even in superhero films, like Lois Lane and Vicky Vale, they were like, oh, the hot reporter that falls in love with a superhero. That's it. But Selena Kyle, for that time, was such a change.
Because a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, exactly. She was her own person. She was her own villain and hero. You know, she was sexy. She knew she was sexy. Like, and I love Michelle Pfeiffer's acting. Like, she was like, Michelle Pfeiffer was like, you know, I I wanted she had that split between I'm a nerdy girl I'm a ditz, who doesn't really know anything. But the minute she comes back to life and transforms, she becomes like this sexy girl who knows what she wants. She'll get it no matter what. You know what I mean?
Dude, that scene where she like went home after she came back to life, when she was like destroying her life or her whole house because she hated it. That is such a sad scene to watch, because it's like you feel so bad for her. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like she's destroying all her stuff. She's screaming and she's just like realizing how shitty her life is. It's like, damn, you're doing such a good job making me just feel so bad for this character.
I agree.
And not to sound like a typical man, but it's like that outfit was amazing when she was in her Catwoman outfit.
Oh yeah, she was really hot. That leather.
That it's so iconic looking. And it's like that scene where she like rips her mask off at the end and like her giant blonde like afro of hair is like all over the place. And yeah, she was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I feel like her, like you said, I feel like she is an extremely underrated character almost in comic book history. Because she's never talked about, ever.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like also one of the saddest scenes is like where Selena Kyle picks her vengeance over her love for Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Bruce takes off his mask. Like literally, Bruce takes off his mask, which has never been done before. He never did it for not even for his love interests in other movies. Like Bruce takes off his mask and says, "Selena, don't you see? We're the same." And then like, Selena's crying and so like, "Oh Bruce, I just want to live in your castle," and all that.
And then we get the infamous line, "Why are you dressed up as Batman?" Because he is Batman. Like, it's such like a rhetorical question. But no, I agree. That was exactly. It's just like you said. It's like her deciding to, well, she didn't die, obviously, from the last scene of the movie, but it's like her choosing to potentially kill herself to get her revenge on the man who tried to kill her, beat out her love for Bruce Wayne. And it's like, again, that's the sign of great tragic character writing, that she made the wrong choice. Yeah, even though the right choice was right in front of her face and she easily could have taken it.
Yeah, exactly. And even the and man, that ending was so well done. So Selena Kyle like uses all her 9 lives because Max Shrek shoots her, and then
God, she's like singing that like nursery rhyme as she's walking towards him was so. Oh, you just feel so bad for this poor broken woman at this point. You know what I mean?
Like, she takes that wire and like, how would I kiss Santa Claus? And then he kisses Max Shrek, and then the whole place blows up, and then the next scene we see is like Max Shrek's like face is like melted.
He's like a skeleton.
Yeah, and then it sucks that Burton didn't want to continue this because like the last scene is like.
That was not his fault. Nope. We'll get to that later. That was not his fault.
Okay.
Why we didn't get more.
Okay. It's like the last scene is like Michael Keaton sees Catwoman's shadow, and then it's just a cat. He picks up the cat and it's like, "Merry Christmas, Alfred." And then, "Merry Christmas, sir." They drive off, the bat signal turns on, and then you see Catwoman like, "Oh yes, she's still alive." And that's the end. It's like, oh man, I want to see more of her. Dude, Catwoman in Batman Returns is like probably one of the best Wolverine characters in comic history ever.
Easily, completely underslept on. And if there's any human being out there who's listening to us and hasn't seen this movie, I mean, you need to, for her alone. Like I said, that's why I love this movie so much. It's because of her character. I thought her character, her arc, what she went through, was so much stronger than even what Batman himself went through in 89. And like I said, I know I'm in the minority on that one, but it's just, I always love a good tragic story because there's more to look at. It gets your emotions going more, and it gives you something to really like hold on to when you're watching it and, you know, remember it. I mean, look, we talked about Catwoman almost as long as we talked about Batman 89. What does that tell you?
Right, exactly. And we haven't even gotten to the second villain yet. What do you think of Batman? What do you think of Batman second villain? The Penguin.
The Penguin.
He's funny. I like him.
He's funny. Again, another character that went the tragic route, but in a story where you're doing two characters and you're trying to go the tragic route with both, one is always going to beat out the other. And Catwoman was like a million times the tragic character that
the Penguin was.
And, you know, I didn't have a problem with him. I thought his design was very Burton-esque and disgusting, which is no issues there. I don't care that he's not like the crime lord that he was in the comics or, you know, is going to be in the upcoming The Batman.
Right.
I just think they went extremely hokey with him. Like, he lives down in a sewer with actual penguins who are like his friends and his slaves.
That was way too cheesy. Like his henchmen are robotic penguins. I was like, okay, that's too cheesy even for Batman standards.
And then he goes all out and straps dynamite to all of them to blow up the city in the end. I'm like, wow, this guy is pissed off at Gotham enough to kill off his own army.
Yeah, right. It's like
let's see. What's his face? DeVito, I thought did a good job for what Burton wanted Penguin to be. I liked him. I just liked Joker and Selina way better.
I agree. Joker and Selina were way more like, it's like, yeah, because like you have Joker, Jack Nicholson's Joker, who at the time portrayed like the best version of Joker. And Selina Kyle, who's like one of the best feeling characters. And then you have the Penguin, like he really kind of just like thrown in the background. I just feel like, honestly, if you take him out and you just make it Catwoman and Max Shrek, it would have been fine.
Easily. You know what though? I'm happy the way it was. Like, this is one of those movies after my most recent rewatch. I really didn't have that many issues with it, to be totally honest.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I think they probably could have done a little more with I mean, Shrek was just a stereotypical rich asshole. And I've actually heard people say it feels like Bruce Wayne doesn't get like any. I've actually heard people say they like, you know, Bruce doesn't really get that much development in this movie. Well, I think that's bullshit. Yeah, I think he gets a ton of development in this film.
No, because like again, I think this one, like I said, it's the same thing with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. They really have brought the best chemistry here. I don't think it has ever been topped. Like, you mean you look at the love interest. You look at the love interests after this film. It's Chase Meridian, who was just hot, and like nothing really special there.
No.
Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, again hot, nothing really special there.
Or whoever that blonde chick was that Bruce Wayne took on dates in Batman and Robin, completely forgettable.
Yeah. And then you have
Rachel,
worse
we'll
than
get
that.
There.
Yeah. Then you have Selina Kyle as Catwoman, Anne Hathaway version. Like, doesn't get even close to the Burn.
No, there was nothing there.
Yeah, and
then Affleck had no one.
Yeah, Affleck had no one. Well, you can argue, okay, yeah, he did flirt with Wonder Woman a bit, but nothing to the point of like.
Yeah, they were never going to wind up together.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, so like.
And then we'll see how Pattinson and
Zoe Kravitz do.
And Kravitz do when the Batman comes out.
I have a feeling that it'll be a nice, unique take on it. I have a feeling, but I don't.
Yeah, just looking at it, I don't feel Kravitz is going to play such a tormented and tragic Catwoman, which is fine. you don't have to try and top Michelle Pfeiffer, but it's like I think they're going to go a different route, which I'm perfply happy with, and obviously both of us are excited.
And you know what? What I'm excited for? I really want to see Colin Farrell's take on the Penguin.
Because I think he's going to be a great Penguin.
Because we haven't seen a live action version of the Penguin in film. Okay, I'm not again
as like a gangster.
Yeah, I'm not gonna count Gotham because Gotham's a TV series, but we haven't seen a live action version of the Penguin since Batman Returns. Although I will say this, the guy who did play Penguin in Gotham was well done.
He was awesome.
Like, I stopped watching Gotham after like its third season. But from what I saw, the guy who played Penguin was awesome. Although I did not like that gay storyline he had with the Riddler. Like, I'm sorry, no, you can't just do that.
I don't think I got that far then, because I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I need to finish Gotham though. I think both of us need to finish Gotham at some point.
No, like this is not like me sounding like I hate gay people. No, it's not like that.
No. You just didn't. In your opinion, it wasn't needed for the show.
It wasn't needed, and it doesn't fit Penguin's character. Penguin is not a gay dude. Okay, he likes women.
Well, when I look at Penguin, I just look at somebody who is a crime lord who that's all they care about is crime and their money. So it's like, unless there's been a comic that discusses Penguin's sexuality, if he's married, has kids or anything, but if not, then maybe it's just not important to his character. So it's like, it can go either way, but if it doesn't fit the character in the story, then yeah, it's probably just not needed.
Right, exactly. All right, so where did we leave off?
So we haven't even really talked about the movie. We've just talked about the characters. So the story of this film, I think, is pretty interesting. With like that, Bruce is just kind of doing his own thing. He's got his back and forth with Selena Kyle the whole movie. And honestly, I think taking place at Christmas was genius. It made this movie look so good.
Yeah,
the blacks and the whites. It's like the blacks of all their costumes versus the white of the snow versus the Christmas colors. I thought it looked so good.
Yeah, it looked so well done, honestly. It was so good for the time. And I think it still holds up now. The colors of Batman Returns are so well done. And so well matched also.
And it's funny, look at it. Like when you look at Batman 89, there's a lot more like browns to it. You know what I mean? Like Gotham looks a lot more brown. And then you look at this one and like that we said, it's a lot more blacks and white from the Christmas snow with all the Christmas colors thrown into it. So it's like, even the design and look of Gotham is completely different in both movies. And they both look great.
Yeah, exactly. That's why like Gotham City itself is a character. Like how you portray Gotham is how you see Batman. Mm-hmm. Which is why I don't get why. Because like, look at it. In the Burton films, it was dark and gothic. In the Schumacher films, it was cheesy and full of lights. And like, disco balls. In Begins, it was dirty. In Dark Knight and Rises, it was Chicago. In the Snyder films, it was again back to that dark and gritty atmosphere.
I was saying those, it was like hell on earth. It looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's because I think in BVS, Gotham was filmed in Detroit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which makes sense because Detroit basically is hell on earth. Or at least it was. And I don't live far from Detroit. It's not as bad as it used to be. But you still don't want to go there at night. Be careful.
Yeah, so I think what makes Batman Returns for me is the characters. Yeah, Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne and their relationship and what's happening with them does make it is what it is the strength of this film, and it's also the strength of the Spider-Man film. Returns, with Andrew Garfield. Like that relationship with Gwen Stacy brought that movie to and even Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, to a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more.
So, anything else to say about Returns, Chad?
Returns is beyond underrated. I really think it's an amazingly slept-on film, and I wish it was talked about more. I wish it was held up in higher regard. But it just seems like so many of the older movies, it's only like usually the first one that gets discussed. Like people like, oh, the original, Superman, oh, Batman 89, and they never really talk about the sequels. I mean, I'm not saying Superman 2 was better than Superman 1. I like Superman 1 better. But it's like here, it's like, I don't know. I'm just really torn. I love both 89 and Returns for such different reasons. It's really hard for me out of the two of them to pick a favorite. I'm really like almost completely tied on them.
Yeah.
But I'll have to figure that out before our ranking, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right. So, next one. We're practically done anyway. We practically talked about Batman 89 and Returns. So what's for next week, Chad?
Oh boy. Next week is the bright and flashy Batman Forever and one of the campiest comedies of all time. One of the most hated movies ever. Batman and Robin. And I've got so much to say about that movie.
So, welcome to 2022. Eternal Midnight subscribers, and we'll see you soon.
Adios.